Yeah, blasphemy. You can take an African out of Africa, but you can't take Africa out of African.
Obodoboye, everybody. I am Baba Makanjuwala of Orieni, or you can say powerofori.com. And I want to welcome everybody to the Power of Ori podcast with yours truly. We're going to talk a lot, not a little bit, but a lot about Ori throughout this series. And I'm going to do this with the help of some very respected Iyas and Babas in this tradition that we call Ifa. I want to help bring the information of Ori to the forefront and make it a part of everyone's conversation on a regular basis because I truly believe that Ori needs to be at the forefront of all of this. And we will discuss a little bit more why as we go along with this series. But today, we're going to have a conversation with our sister here, Chief Ifaremi, out of Baltimore, Maryland. And she's here to share some information with your Baba about character. Character is a conversation that everybody has. Everybody talks about Iwapuele and all these things. My question is, how does your Ori play part in that to help you achieve good character?
Well, that's a good question. And first, I already told you privately, but I want to say it publicly.
Mm.
I want to commend you and applaud you for being I like to say, African born in America that happens to be a male that is in the path of Ifa, for creating this platform, for having the creative ingenuity and mind set to bring to light the importance of Ori. And I went over your website. It's beautiful. It's amazing, the work that you're doing, the direction that you're going with it. I love it. And I'm happy and thankful to be here on this podcast because the work that you're doing is truly in alignment with what I preach all the time. So I just wanted to take a moment to commend you and thank you for having me here, and thank you for the work that you're doing, brother.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate that. Flowers are always good.
Yes. Ori as it relates to character.
Wait. Before you start, I want you to do this. Explain to the people who you are. Give them your backdrop. Give us some more insight on who you are.
Okay. So I am Chief Ifaremi Olosun. I am Iya Oshun of Asafori Tifa Temple, Oshugbo land. I am head priestess at my own Ile Ewuji. I am a priestess of and initiated into Ifa, Obatella, Egbe, and Oshun. I have to count. Make sure I'm not forgetting any.
Yeah.
I've been in the path of Ifa and Orisha, I would say consciously, for about 11 to 12 years. I've been traveling to and from Nigeria, and particularly Osun State, Oshugbo, since 2013, studying Ifa, studying the Orisha. And it put me in a great position because I was able to do a lot of compare and contrast to the culture and the people there and the culture and the people here. So let me say that I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I always like to point out that it was, in fact, my Ori that brought me to the path of Ifa. I have nobody in my family, wasn't born in it. All of my family members are Christians, or I think we have like one or two Muslims in the family. But it was just my Ori and my higher self, and the part of my consciousness that knew what was for me, that led me to the path of Ifa. So that's a little background of, who I am, what I do, my take as it relates to how I work in the path of Ifa. I always say there's no spiritual work without inner work, which is why I say what you're doing really aligns with what I do. I like to base my teachings off of the way things are done in the source land, traditional Ifa. But I also like to take those teachings and have my clients and people that I work with internalize those teachings and have the tools to be able to apply it to their day-to-day life, So I'm sure we're going to dig into that a little more later, what I mean by that, because you touched on it a little bit. There's a lot of people that glorify and externalize the Orisha. And they glorify and externalize the Odu Ifa. And they kind of personify the Orisha into being almost human being-like. And they like, all of the things that are associated with the Orisha, the powers and the colors and the exterior stuff. So I'm really big on teaching the metaphysics. So taking the traditional concepts, the indigenous way, the way things are done in Yoruba land, and I call myself the bridge or the middleman, and I in turn interpret that and bring it over here to people in the diaspora who can take those concepts and develop tools to be able to apply them in their day-to-day life. So to internalize it and to know what these Orisha mean for them personally, metaphysically speaking.
This is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. Okay. Thank you, Iya. My question I want to ask you real quick. How did your family receive your shift?
Well, I will say my family did not receive it initially. Keeping in mind, this was back in, I think, like 2010 or so. When my Ori first guided me to the path, it started off with me just reading different books. It was really an act of desperation to save my life because I felt like I was living, but I wasn't alive.
Yeah.
And so I just started going to my local library and just pulling out any book I could find about other types of so-called religions. So once I started educating myself on the different, spiritual paths, if you will, it went from that to meditating, then from meditating to receiving different revelations, then from receiving these revelations to I started studying Reiki. So my family saw the stages of my transformation. So once I started working more with energy, meditating more, having these dreams and visions, I became more knowledgeable of self. So my clothes, the way I dressed started changing, the way I spoke started changing. Events that I would and would not attend started changing. And so my family started looking at me the way they always looked at me, because I always was different. But even more so, then they started looking at me like, what's wrong with her? She crazy. Something up with her. What's going on? So then when I got initiated, my mother, different family members, my mother really, they have no idea anything about any African traditions or cultures or spiritual systems. So I got called, crazy. I was told that I was going to burn in hell. I was asked, am I a witch? Am I doing voodoo? Why are you doing that? You're not African. You're American. Look like you just got like you fresh off the boat wearing African clothes. And I mean, they put me through it. They did not receive it well.
Wow.
Initially. And don't get me started on the shrines. If I would have something at my house and they come over and see the shrines.
Like with a fresh elbow on it?
Yes, with all friends and the elbow, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, it almost blew their wig back, as we say in Baltimore. But they were really taken aback by it. I remember them saying, you know, how can spirit is a spirit. Spirit can't receive food, or you giving that for the ancestors. Our ancestors wasn't into no E5. So just all types of scrutiny. But going back to Ori, you know, it was my Ori and my inner spirit that no matter what they said to me, no matter how they scrutinized me, no matter how bad they talked about me, it was just a feeling of I am in alignment. Finally, I found something that feels good. It makes me feel alive. This is right for me. So I was able to stay strong and not pay that any mind.
I had to ask that because I have a lot of conversations with a few Babalaos in Nigeria, and they tend not to understand what we risk coming into this. Like, we definitely are saying that we're willing to leave behind a life that we grew up under, because, like you said, majority of us didn't grow up in this. So we get it as adults. And by the time we get it as adults, we have whole families that live a completely different life. So we got to be willing to either sometime lose friends and family. You got to go through the scrutiny that you've gone through. And you got to spend a whole lot of money to get this stuff. Let's be real. Right? And you got to rearrange your whole entire life around it. So I wanted that to be said or be known, because I want to try to bridge a gap at the same time with this podcast between us and them, so they can understand what it is we're dealing with technically. Why are we coming back to this? Why are we choosing? Why is our re-choosing this in 2023? We haven't had a chance to for 200 plus years, but now why are we doing it now? So it's a lot of risk. It's a lot of things on the table for it that we can possibly, technically, I'll say lose, but not lose, or risk by doing this. And we're not doing it because we just want to wear dashikis and beads. We're doing it because we want to change our lives and change the trajectory of our families. Make sense?
Absolutely. If I may add to that, I would also add that when you said why are many of us doing this? First, let me say that there is a misconception about the Orisha and what the Orisha are and who the Orisha are for. That's why I always repeat it again and again to the point where I sound redundant when I say the Orisha are the primordial energies of the universe. So the Orisha, while it is the Yoruba people and the Yoruba tribe who have preserved and cultivated the path of the Orisha and the Orisha knowledge and the Odu Ifa and the ceremonies and the rituals and so forth, the Orisha is for all melanated people, is for all indigenous people of the land, no matter where you live. So let me be, clear about that. The next thing that I want to say is when you touched on the why, and I'm going to try to put it in simplified terms without going too deep. But when we are on our spiritual journey, there are some things that comes to our awareness. One of the things that came to my awareness personally is that we've had past lives and past experiences. And our Ori knows what path we need in this life in order to activate our higher self, in order to activate our consciousness, in order to elevate. So for some of us, that may be Ifa, that may be the Orisha path. For others, they may have to go to IET and, you know, take the path of voodoo. For others, it could be the Akan tradition. But it is the subconscious mind, the Ori, that knows what we need and where we need to go to have certain rituals and rites performed to reawaken and to reactivate our genetic memory and our DNA, our power, and our higher self. So it just, for those of us born here in the diaspora, through our journey, we came to realize that, you know, even though we're born here, the paths and the traditions that most people follow here, Christianity, Muslim, and all of the religions, happen to not be what our Ori needed in order to elevate, to reactivate, to reawaken, to reignite, or to connect to our higher selves. So once we came to that realization that this is the thing that makes us feel good, like we're in alignment, like we're doing what we were brought here to do. Like you said, we, you know, myself, we jump hurdles. We definitely jump a lot of hurdles to do what we know in our heart and mind and spirits, you know, what we're placed here to do, which is to be Olorisha. Yes, we spend a lot of money. We take a lot of backlash for it. We got to deal with the cultural differences, you know, because we're coming from here to there. Also, it's just a lot. It's a lot. A lot of people have to deal with scamming, misinformation, being taken advantage of, being what's the phrase? Just being, they make you run all around the Mary bush sometimes just to get a small piece of information.
Exactly.
They don't want to share the information because they believe it's only for them. So as I said, it's for everybody, all indigenous people, all melanated people. It's who the Orisha are for. It's the universe, the energies of the universe and of the earth.
Ooh-wee. I feel tempted. Let me see. I feel tempted. Let me see. Before we get into the meat of this, you just said something that's interesting. You said it's for everybody melanated, right?
Yes.
Now, Batala is the person who's responsible for the mold of human beings, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Does that include non-melanated people to you?
I go on the record quite often saying that me personally, to each his or her own. I don't judge anybody else's choices, but I have facilitated many initiations and tours, and I work with clients all around the world. But I let it be known I do not work with anyone who is not does not have African descent. Rather, you know, there are different terms where people refer to them as Caucasian or Asiatic or white or what have you. I work primarily with people of African descent. Solely. Not primarily, solely.
Solely.
And you know, there's a multitude of reasons for that. The practice itself is of African descent.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's self-explanatory. So, you know, when we talk about Orisha veneration, Orisha worship, a lot of people don't know the Orisha are also ancestors, which that's a whole nother topic. But in Yoruba land, they have Egungun festivals for Oshun. They have Egungun festivals for Ogun and Shango and so on. So each Orisha also have their own Egungun. So, and then in addition to that, there's, you know, the part of Egungun, ancestral veneration. So in my personal experience, those ancestors show up. You know, those ancestors show up. So imagine if we're holding space with people who are not of African descent, with, you know, different experiences than our own. It creates a situation of conflicting energies and spirits in a space, and it's just not good. It's just not a good look when that happens, you know.
I totally understand. I mean, I had to ask because I've been told different things, and of course, with the understanding that Obatala made the mold, that means anything that came from that mold um, came from that creation of Obatala. So um, that's interesting, but I totally understand it, and I totally get it. I'm not in the position because I don't have godchildren and Elay. I don't. That's just not my bag, right? But if people are doing that work, I've been in circles where I've seen them in there. I'm like, why are they here? Like I don't understand. Like why are they here? Like, don't they got a church to go to? Like why are they here? But um, I never could understand how that happens. Like we need this. Our spirits here in America are waking up, coming back to something that was taken from us, just to aid them to come in with us. That makes no sense to me. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, in my mission, people say, what do you do? I help melanated people realign with their purpose and power. That's my tagline. That's my mission statement. So that would go against my whole purpose for being. That's what I've come to know. That's my reason for coming back to the planet, which is to help people of African descent, or sometimes I'll say melanated people, because we were everywhere. We were all over the planet, as the indigenous people of the planet. So that may be Africa or maybe somewhere else, but nevertheless, that's my mission to help everybody reclaim their power and reconnect to their purpose. So that would go against everything that I do. That's not what I'm here for, to serve those particular people, if that makes sense.
It makes complete sense. Thank you for answering.
But there are a lot of people. There are a lot of Babalawos, a lot of leaders, and there are verses that they'll quote to say that it's for everybody, that, non-indigenous people can participate. I've gotten to those debates before. I've been in this, had some skin in the game for a while. But what I come to realize is everybody's perception will be based on their experience. And a lot of people in Yoruba land, they're not taught in their schools about racism. They're not taught about history throughout the diaspora. They're not aware of a lot of historical facts that would possibly give them a different perspective on why that should not be. So that's why a lot of them support it. They say, we don't see color and we don't know nothing about that. And, just get over it. That was years ago. And, so when you can't relate, you have when your perception is different based on your experience. So I just, decided to step out of that argument and just do what works for me.
See, again, if we bridge the gap, we can let these people know we have a 243, something like that, years of a head start of knowing how these people are physically every day under their rule for 200 plus years. Listen to the lady, y'all. Listen to Iya. Anyway, let's dive in. Character. We're talking about character today, the power of character. This is a subject matter that's tossed around Ifa a lot. Everybody's talking about character, right? Iwa Prele, they call it. My question to you is, first things we got to do is we got to lay the foundation of this, including the unit of measurement, right? Do me a favor, from your background, from your understanding, from your studies, do me a favor, define what good character is. Give a definition to what that is for, and your unit of measurement too at the same time.
When you say unit of measurement, what do you mean?
What are you gauging good character by? Like, what is that based on?
Okay. So my definition of good character means to function, live, and behave in a way that is in alignment with your destiny and your own Ori, but that is also in alignment with the greater good, the collective. being the planet, the universe, and the conscious collective. That would be my definition of good character. My unit of measurement would be my experience. And all of that, all of which I've learned about Iwa Pele. And to go deeper in depth as to why that's my definition and unit of measurement for it is because everything isn't for what's good for one person. What's good character for one person may not be good character for another person, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that, okay, so I've seen Odu Ifa. So if we use societal ideas, cultural norms, and views to judge what is good character, say, for example, society says it's bad to drink. It's not good to drink a lot, right? If you drink a lot, that's bad character. Or society says, in our society, I'm just giving some examples. Society says you shouldn't have more than one wife. It should be man and woman. Now, if we take societal norms and views and base our, what it is good and what is so-called bad off of that, then that's very subjective. That can change depending on where you're located, where you live, your background, what your destiny calls for. So I've seen Odu Ifa. I've seen situations where a person drinks a lot, right? And their Odu Ifa says that it's in their destiny to drink. And the minute they stop drinking and say, I don't want to drink no more, I've seen stories where the person just, cease to exist and is becomes where they're no longer with us. So it depends on a person's destiny and spirit and what is good for the individual as it relates to the collective. So that's why that's my point of measurement, which is my experiences, the different Odu Ifa that come out for people. And witnessing things that some people would frown upon and say, well, that's not good, based on, what they taught us is good and what they taught us is bad. But for that person, it's great. But then I also have to say, also as relates to the conscious collective and the greater good, because that doesn't mean because you are, I don't know, that doesn't give a person the go ahead to act a whole fool because it may be in their Odu Ifa that they have a wild like spirit or wild personality. That doesn't mean, let me just go be wild and do what I want to do and destroy things, because it's still you and your character and your destiny, being in alignment with the greater good and the whole.
That's interesting. Okay. So my take on that character thing is kind of like what you said. Good character for me may not be the same for you. We have two different Odus, two different destinies. What I may not be able to do, you may be able to do in abundance, and vice versa. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the good character part is basically, it's kind of all wrapped up in a humility burrito. Like whatever it is you got to deal with in your life that's in your Odu, the question is, are you doing it or not?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you're not doing it, you're not in good character. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you are doing it, you're practicing good character and you should be getting the blessings of your ray that you are seeking.
Yes.
Be it come today, be it come 2 years from now. But as long as you're still doing it and you're enduring the practices that you've been told, you've been shown, you've been revealed, the things that you came to ask for, the reason why you got initiated in the first place is to get this information, you should be doing it then.
Yes.
Now the challenges come, like I said, we're adults, we're getting it with a whole or reprogramming that may not be in agreement with what we received. Now we got to rewire our Ori to be able to do what we're being asked to do from the Odu that we've already been living. But now you see it and hear it physically what you need to do. You have to defrag the old stuff and put in place the new stuff. Not that it's going to be easy, not that you're going to get it correct all the time, but you at least have to be in that process of doing those things. And if you're doing those things, I see it as good character.
I should. Yeah, I would say it's being in alignment for sure with your destiny, that's unique to you. But I also, just to rewind a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
I also share with my clients that I don't like to use the terms good and bad a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Um, because of what we're discussing right now. It's very subjective,
Yeah.
good and bad. I would change those words and say unfavorable, or favorable. In alignment or out of alignment.
Exactly.
And really, to me, like you said, that's what good character is: being in alignment with what you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be, your divinity, your Orisha, your destiny. And when we get out of alignment, or engage in activities and behaviors that are unfavorable, what like people like to call bad, that's when we begin to, I call it going against the grain. It's like, you can be with your flow, be in your flow, you are in perfect, alignment. Therefore, everything that is for you, it just comes to you. You're with it, you are it. And then when you are doing things that are unfavorable, that are out of alignment, you create friction. It's kind of like two streams of, I don't know, kind of like you say, if you have a stream going this way and one going this way, and it's just like, creates friction in your life and unpleasant happenings, challenges, hardships, unfavorable experiences. And then that's when people want to call it bad, or they want to call it, spiritual attacks, or why is this happening to me? And I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and my life is still not going good. And I don't know why. And it's because you're not in alignment with your destiny, which is also, like you said, not good character for you.
Yeah. I mean, there's old dudes that govern us particularly, and an old dude that governs us particularly. And then there's old dudes that governs the whole. There's old dudes that speak to human beings in the general as a whole, and there's individual ones, which means that Ifa has left guidelines and rules for human beings as a species to live by. One particularly for you too. But there's this thing that people say when you bring up certain topics, and you said one of them, but I don't want to get into that one because that's a whole nother situation. But there's people that do things their way, right? They do it the way they see fit. And when you ask them about it, they be like, well, people do stuff differently. I mean, I feel like, when does Ifa care about how you feel? I've never seen that happen. Like, I've never seen that happen. Like, the way you feel does not matter to spirit. It really doesn't, right? So, what's more important here? Free will of being able to do how you do it, or the spiritual guidelines that we are coming to this spiritual deity or system to receive to help our lives out? Let's talk about that part. What's more important? The free will of a human being to do it their way, or the guidelines?
See, I have to control my Gemini mind because it's like ping ponging in all different directions. And I just want to answer your question as directly as possible. The way that I like to describe, to share that and speak on that topic is to say that we are individuals, but again, we are part of a collective. So when we want to just do what we want to do and be wild, I like to envision the world as being we're all a part of this grand symphony. And Olodumare is the source through which everything else was birthed out of and continue to be birthed out of. And that's where we come in, as the creations or embodiments of Olodumare. And we all are part of this grand symphony. And Oludumare in the universe has a tune and a song that allows everything to vibrate at its highest, in its highest frequency, otherwise known as harmony. And so when we all play our song, let's just say I'm the pianist and I have to have this certain rhythm, whatever that rhythm is, as me being a piano man or piano woman. You play play your tune, and then somebody else over here might be, I don't know, playing the guitar, So it's like we all have to play our roles and positions and fulfill our destiny and purpose here on earth, so that ultimately we can create a beautiful song of harmony for the planet, for the people of earth, for everything to vibrate at its highest. So there must be order. Even the nature, I always tell people, anything you want to know, look at nature.
Mm-hmm.
Look within, because you are one with nature and, Olodumare, source, universe, but also look at nature. Even nature has structure and a system and order and a way of doing things, a way of, functioning so that life can continue. So we can do what we want, even though, the ego wants us to think, I'm a God, I'm a God. Yes, you are a God, but you're not the God.
Yeah.
All of us are walking around here as embodiments of gods, of God, or Olodumare, of source in the flesh. We're all, reincarnations of Orisha. We are all, we all have power, but that doesn't mean we have all the power. So we all have to play our position.
Edgy Ogbe says, when parents and Ori cannot bring clarity, then go to Ifa for support. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because when people have a lot of character challenges, it usually sends them to the mat. It usually sends them to seek out an Iya Iferemi, such as yourself, or a Babalao. Hey, listen, I need help with this issue. My husband ain't acting right. My job is going crazy. My finances are this, yada, yada, yada. We have all of these issues, and it's usually going to stem from character, right? And then it usually sends the people directly to the mat. But they're skipping a step. Actually, a couple of steps. As the Odu says, it says, when your Ori and your parents can't help you, consult Ifa, right? Going back to where people say, well, this is how we do it over here. I don't know when your Ile changed the Odu. I don't know when that happened, when they petitioned to ratify that Odu for your Ile purposes. I don't know when that happened. But you wind up, I'm saying this because I did it myself. I'm not talking about nobody. I'm talking about what I've done, right? I was in a marriage that was crazy turbulent. I must have did 100 elbows, and it never changed the situation, right? So I was left wondering, like, does this stuff even work? Like, what am I doing here? Not thinking, not even coming to the conclusion. No, dummy, it's you. It's your head. It's probably a combination of both of y'all's Ori that's not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Again, going back to good character, in order to make it better, right? So I'm gonna put it out there. Why? We're getting deeper now. Why does character challenges persist, even when the Ebo is accepted by the deities?
Well, that goes back to what I said before in the beginning. Number one, a lot of people like to glorify and externalize the Orisha and like to take on the aesthetics, the beauty, the vanity, the Christian mindset into the path of the fellowship, coming out for the drumming and all the fun stuff and all the good looking stuff and all of that stuff. But when we get back to internalizing these spirit energies and recognizing that they are us, within us, a part of us, then we then have to bring them out of the Christian mindset. And remember, a lot of people have begun to embrace Ifa and the Orisha in this path, but they still have an indoctrinated mind.
Speak on it, MacDam.
They still have the indoctrinated mind. So in essence, they still want to look outside of themselves for the answer. And so when we now say, no, you are it, you are the answer, you are the Orisha, now let's turn it inward and learn how to work your Shango, learn how to face, work with your Oshun, learn how to work with your Ogun, and also go within your mind's eye, go within your Ori, and face those spiritual and energetic blockages. Because, all things must come through your Ori. And that is the most powerful, all the things we always say, your Ori is your most powerful Orisha. And even, I think it's Ogunda Meiji that says nothing can happen for us here on earth without going through, dealing and working with our Ori and gaining the consent and approval of our Ori. So, but a lot of people don't want to face that because it goes back to the same suppressed and oppressed and enslavement mentality and all of this stuff. Because, we got a lot of healing that we got to do here as a people. So that's one reason, one thing that we must consider, that people don't want to do the inner work. That's a simply put. It's not easy. It's hard because we're talking about healing generational trauma, clearing karmic debt, clearing working, facing your shadows, the mommy wound, the father wound, the psychological effects of living in an environment that we live in here in the diaspora. That's heavy work. So I have a lot of clients who will come and say, I'm drowning, I'm suffocating. Like you said, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I'm not getting anywhere. And I'll just kind of chuckle at them and laugh and say, okay, well, you ready? You really want, to see a change in your life? And I tell them the truth. I'm not saying that if you do this work, and by this work, I mean the inner work, and getting to internalize all of those things to really get to your power. Because you can't work with your Orisha if you have blockages, if you're sad, if you're in a place of hurt, still dwelling with pain, regret, guilt, if anger, you can't really love your fellow man or your fellow woman because there's a woman who hurt you in the past or a man who hurt you in the past. How can you embody the love and the abundance that is Oshun if you have all of that darkness, all of that hurt, all of that pain, all of those negative connotations because of past experiences? So that's why, you're not receiving what you're supposed to receive out of the Ebo and things like that. So when I do that chuckle and I say, you ready? They like, yeah, I'm ready. I want to change my life. I know I can't go on. So I say, okay. So that, to me, I like to call it the underworld. I'm like, you're going to have to go into the underworld. So they're like, what you mean like that? The underworld, what you mean? So, and a lot of my clients will open that door. I'll say the door is already open, but they'll begin to embark on that journey. And it's too much. And I let them know it's not going to be easy. And then even after you do it, it doesn't mean that that's the end all be all either. After you go through that underworld and begin to face those shadows and heal those shadows, it doesn't mean that, okay, I've done it. Woo-hoo, I'm good to go. No. What you have done is you've now learned what that looks like, what it feels like, how to be able to navigate your way through it. So when it shows up again, it won't be like you know, you won't feel like you're suffering and you're trapped. You'll say, okay, I've been down the underworld before. I can go through the underworld and do some more healing if I need to. I know how to do that. I know how to navigate my way through that in order to heal a thing and come out of that again. Because healing is ongoing. You know, we're talking about from the beginning of time, we've been here. Nobody knows how old this planet is and how many times we've come back, or all the things our ancestors have been through that we're healing, or the foundation and the framework that we're setting up for future generations. So the healing could be ongoing. You may, and there's different levels to it, it's different angles. It's kind of like a prism. You are able to see what you need to heal based on where you are currently. So, you know, once you heal this thing, now you're in a position where you can see that thing, you know, then you're like, okay, I got to heal that too. Oh, now I realize this because I've elevated enough to realize this. Now I got to heal that. But long story short, it's an ongoing process. It doesn't mean that you won't experience trials and tribulations anymore. It doesn't mean that you won't face challenges anymore. It just means that now you are more empowered. You have the tools, you have the confidence, you have all of that, all of what you need to go through it again with ease. And so that's what people don't want to do. And they think that what the elbow does is it opens the portal and the gateway and supports you for you to be able to do the work, for your Ori to do the work. It's not a magic wand. A lot of people just want it to be the magic wand that says poof pow, you know, what they say, abracadabra, boom, it's done, you know. But what it does is helps to clear some obstacles, some blockages. It helps support you in conquering those unfavorable spirits and entities and energies that's keeping you blinded and bound. So it kind of, if you can see like somebody just going like this, the elbow goes like this, you know, opening the way for you to do the work. And it clears some things. But if you don't get to the core of the issue and the problem, the same stuff just comes back in to create clutter. And, you know, then you just like again and again, elbow, 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 because you're not doing the inner work. So like I said before, I always say there's no spiritual work without inner work. You're just wasting your money. And that's what a lot of Babalawos or Ianifa that doesn't understand the work that we got to do over here, you know, and they don't understand the depth of that.
That part.
They don't care. They'll just keep taking people money and doing 1,000 elbows, not knowing that that's not going to get it. That's not enough.
That part right there. I think I'm gonna tap on that for a second. That part right there, because me doing this ORE work for the last 3 years, I've had a lot of people come to me, fresh out of initiation, spent $10,000-$15,000, came back with no pot, Ifa, nothing. Don't know their Odu, don't have any verses, they can't even spell the Odu. But these Babalaos are consistently doing elbows for them even after the initiation. And the people are wondering why their situation isn't shifting. But when you tell them, well, that's not the right way, that should have been done here. Well, everybody do it differently. No, they don't. They just don't explain it to you how it's supposed to go. Because of the money that is involved in this and how much a dollar bill versus a Naira is. It's a big difference. And on top of the fact of what you said, they don't understand us.
They don't.
They don't realize that we have come through, we are the descendants of people who were chattel property for over 200 years, went through Jim Crow, went through the South. My mother fled the South in '68 and moved to LA just to get out of the cotton fields. This is what we got going through us. And now we're coming back to this thing, and we got to get deal with all of that karmic. And it's not our whole family. It's usually one individual out of a family that gets this calling, and you're the black sheep of the family that nobody really understands until they start seeing some shifts in your life and you start changing individually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember when I got initiated, everybody thought I was crazy. Like, came
Mm-hmm.
back with a bald head, you know. Like, they came over my house a few times. They saw the, like, just like you saw the altars and my Ifa spot, and I saw some elbow stuff there. May have seen a goat head over here, but
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. They thought I was crazy,
Mm.
and I thought for myself personally, again, because I'm putting myself in the same shoes as everybody else. I'm not trying to act like I'm way bigger than other people. I'm not trying to act like I have all the answers. Because when we
Mm-hmm.
come into this, we don't know. Because again, the people who know are not telling us technically the full spectrum. Let's just be
Mm-hmm.
honest with it. They're not telling us the full spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I truly believe, and this is why I do the Ori work. I truly believe, and I have a whole curriculum built out here. It's 30 hours of Ori work.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that if before a person gets initiated in America, particularly black, and you need every last 30 hours of this training
Mm-hmm.
before
Mm-hmm.
you step into that initiation.
Yes.
And if people are not pushing you to do at least a fraction of that work, but willing to initiate you right away, they are not doing you a favor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's your take on
And
that?
I see some people who have this, and we're just, offering different perspectives, not to judge or anything like
No.
that. But also with this owl year
Hmm?
and other measures that people are being required to take prior to initiation. A lot of those things, based on the clients that come to me,
Hmm.
that still have not gone through that underworld phase and have done that inner work,
Hmm.
but they've gone, they've done, owl years, or they have gone work with other elays where they had to do this and do that and do that.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of that too seems to be based on what I'm told, ego driven. So a lot of that is centered around not like the program that you have in place, or not like, the things that I'm sharing with my clients. A lot of those loops that people are made to, jump through before initiating with certain elays throughout the diaspora
Yeah.
is more so serve the temple, serve the
Yeah.
elay, and
Yes.
serve me, and prove yourself worthy
Yes.
of doing this initiation, is not heal yourself.
No, exactly. I'm glad you said that.
That's what I've been getting a lot of and hearing a lot about. Is more so also serve me enough, serve my ego enough, like I said, to feel like to be worthy. But a lot of times, those in leadership positions want to stay in leadership positions. There's a lot of egotistic stuff happening throughout the diaspora. Um, so that's another reason they'll have them go through this, certain things before initiating that does not consist of what they really need.
Mm.
But what it does is it boosts the person's ego and enables the leader to remain the leader.
Yes, that part. Ooh, we getting it. We getting to it now. We getting to it now. Again, like
Mhm.
Iya said, this is not designed to tear anybody down to build us up, but it is here to tell the truth. The truth is the truth, and this is kind of, it's not kind of, it is the situation that I'm saying African Americans are dealing with. Like, it is an issue that we have. We got to be very honest with this thing that we're doing, and that's because for us African Americans, we either get it from people from Nigeria or the Hispanic community from Santeria, Lucas. Some of them, I'm not going to say who, but some of them don't want us to have that, right? They don't want us to have the information, so they give us bits and pieces of information. Others, they'll give us some at a cost, but not the whole thing. Still, when we come back home, we're left with our Oris, whatever condition it's in, which is leading me to my next situation.
Can I speak on that a little bit?
Go ahead.
I had I have a lot of personal experience with what you just said with not getting the information.
Mhm.
I've had a Bible I will tell me personally, you know, because I did a lot of in-depth research for my Oshun masterclass on the Odu Ifa, right?
Mhm.
And analysis of Osei Torah.
Mhm.
And they give a lot of surface level information, you know, openly, which is understood because it's not everybody not supposed to have this information.
Exactly.
But what he said to me was, you know, what I'm telling you right now, a lot of Babalawos people won't tell you. And I say, what do you mean by that? Said because they don't want you to have this information. They'll say you know too much. You know
Mhm.
more than us, and you'll
Mhm.
have too much power. You'll become too powerful. So
Mhm.
I said, huh, really now? And
Huh.
I said, is that your own perspective, or you know, is that how you feel about it? Because he seemed a little apprehensive himself. But I do share with my clients, especially as a female in the path, going over there for all these years, it's not easy because you know I got to go through the, you know, and I got a few times with be my wife.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Thinking that you soft, the patriarchal system, the misogynist behavior, not respecting, not being respected, taken as a joke, because you know with the soft femininity and all of that stuff. But I do like to share too, just to elaborate on what you just said, getting real knowledge, Odu Ifa information, back, you know, stories, oral literature, stuff that has been passed down from generation to generation is not easy. I've literally, if I could tell people how many spiritual battles I've been through, how
Mhm.
many physical
Hmm.
altercations
Yeah,
I've gotten into.
yeah.
Um Again, you know, the money, the time, the energy, the effort. If I could tell people, and this is talking about like off over a course of 10 years now, it will just make a person cry. Most when I share these stories with my clients, they don't even, a lot of people don't even believe, like, you went through that, yeah. And it's really unfortunate because the information is for everybody. So I just want to elaborate with you that I have experienced that firsthand with, you know, the challenges to getting um, authentic information that will serve us from Yoruba land. Um, or you know, you just is a lot. I'm not going to dig in too much, but there's a lot of people who got to, you know, kiss butts, and you got to like that whole servitude thing. I
Mhm.
understand, you know, paying your dues and the due process and honoring, you know, your lineage and your elders. But if you see people with authentic information that you can use and apply in your life that's coming out of Yoruba land, you know, just say a prayer for us. And this
Mm.
brother right here who just say a prayer for us because
Yeah.
it's not easy at all. I've been through so much.
Me too. And majority of the people come into it, and which is the reason why I'm asking you this next question, which is, can initiation, ebo, ekunlebo, help to change or shift the character in the person? Because the root of the issue is, Ogbe Yonu says, it is not a person's laziness, stupidity, or lack of initiative that is the problem in their life. It is what's deeply rooted in their ori that causes them issues in life. Um, and a lot of people are, of us, of course, we're coming out of where we come from, and we're looking for something to shift it for us because we've never been taught before we come, technically, that we can shift it or we're supposed to shift it. It's not a taught thing in our community. So when they come, they're getting initiated, they're doing elbow and kuna bowls and all these things to help shift that situation. Um, can initiation, or what is the power of initiation? I'm not even going to speak on elbow and all that. The power of initiation. What can a person expect when they're seeking a shift in their life? What they're actually seeking is a shift in character. But when they're looking for a shift in their life, what can they expect the elbow to help them or aid them to, not the elbow, but the initiation to help them and aid them as they get off the mat, leave that compound, and come back home, what can they expect that initiation to do for them in the search for that shift?
So what comes to mind is those if you ever seen like the little cartoons where you have the villain, and the villain, nobody wants the power to get into the villain hands.
Yeah.
Because they already know how to, if the villain get down, it
Yeah.
might destroy the whole world. It might
yeah.
create a toxic a bomb or something, I don't know, that wipes everything out. To me, that is what can, of course, not to that extreme, but it's the same thing as not doing the inner work, no form of healing, and then you go to get initiated.
Yeah.
Because power in the wrong hands is dangerous. It's dangerous to the individual, and going back to what we said before, it's dangerous for the collective.
Exactly.
Now, what initiation does is, because we're already all born with all Orisha. Everybody is born with all Orisha, but we have particular Orisha that we radiate and embody stronger in this life, and that we're meant to be an embodiment of in this life. So when we initiate into that particular Orisha that we're supposed to, walk in physical form as and exude and radiate that Orisha's energy, what we're doing is just strengthening the bond and connection to that power, because we already have it within. So initiation is like a rebirth and reawakening as it relates to reigniting your power, reigniting your Orisha, the Orisha that is within you, that you are meant to radiate and embody in this life in physical form. So that's essentially, what initiation is for and what it does. Because it is a powerful ritualistic process. I mean, you will be reignited and receive that power and that energy, especially if it's done right. But it still will be a disservice to you if you haven't, done the healing that you need to do. Like I said, going back to that villain, some people, I've also seen some people go get initiations and come back and have even worse experiences than what they had before going in to get the initiation. I've seen some people get initiated and come back and absolutely just go crazy and lose their minds. I've seen people go and get initiated and come back and have fatalities. Real bad stuff happen. And like I said, the Ori, your head, your consciousness, your the essence of your being, your character, all of those things have to be kind of like that's why it's a rebirth, but you have to begin with a clean slate. So it has to be prepared and ready. Like if you're going to cook a meal, you got to get your ingredients, you got to get everything ready in order. You got to have a pan you're going to put the food in. If it's a cake, you oil it, butter it down, a cake pan. But you have to have your Ori, your spirit, your character, everything ready to be reinfused with this power. You know what I mean? Your consciousness, your mind has to be in a place where it can receive it and handle it, because it's no joke. I always tell people, it again, these are the primordial energies of the universe. It's in nature, it's in everything, the planets. So it's no joke, it's nothing to play with. And if your mind is not ready to receive that power, those downloads that comes with it, the energy, the messages, it can do you more harm than good.
I am a prime example of that. I like to teach and share based upon my experiences for real. Like I'm a prime example of that. When I got initiated, my life went completely downhill. Like lost my house, got a divorce. Divorce was probably a good thing, but got a divorce. Car was on a repossession list, had to go live with family members. I got depressed, had to call Chief Popola in Nigeria. He summons the Ebo for me, Dafar for me. I forgot what Odu it came, but it was like the Odu came in Iku, death, that they would lose me if they didn't do this Ebo for me right away. Big Ebo, it was like almost $1,000 Ebo. I did the elbow, and of course, I began to come through it, but it wasn't an easy task. And it was because I was initiating, I call it initiating my crazy. Like people actually technically initiate their crazy, wherever they came from and however they functioned before, they took that in the room and initiated it and activated it in the spirit realm. That's a dangerous situation because you don't know what somebody's going to do to themselves or anyone else. Um, Interesting topic I wanted to kind of interject real quick. You mentioned Ogunda Meji before, which is one of my favorite Odus. That's the Odu to me that turned my life around. When I read Ogunda Meji and I started discovering a lot about the Ori, that was the main one. And there's a story in Ogunda Meji that talks about Orunmila summoning all the Orisha to accompany man into the world. And he's asking all of these Orishas to come, and they all say, yes, we will follow this man into the world or this woman into the world. Um, and he has the wisdom to ask a second question. What if this person loses their way and you get offered your favorite food? Will you still accompany them into the world? Each Orisha says, nah, I'm going to go ahead and get this food over here first, and I'll get back to them a little later. So at the end of the conclusion was, Orunmila discovered that the only deity that can go with human beings everywhere throughout its life is Ori. Ori is only one sanctioned as a deity that will support human beings all the time. Right? My question is this. Answer this as candidly, or if it's too much, just let me know. But I want to ask this question. Does initiation to an Orisha guarantee that that person will have more access to that Orisha based upon what Ogunda Meji said, even when they are not, but they've lost their way? Would that guarantee that that Orisha will show up for them because they got initiated to them or not? Or it's still the same without
Um, no, it does not guarantee that they will have more access to that Orisha, especially depending on the attributes, characteristics, and requirements of that Orisha. Um, in fact, like I said before, certain Orisha, when you initiate into the Orisha, you are you're held to a different standard, which people don't realize. And a lot of people, even those in Yoruba land who do know this, what's expected of them, they don't measure up and they don't do it, as far as certain, okay, let's just say Obatella.
Mm-hmm.
If you initiate an Obatella, you don't wear a lot of white, you lie, you cheat, you scam, you have bad character, you don't walk in with unstained cloth, you do this, you do that. Of course, you're not going to be able to tap into the spirit energy of Obatella because you're opposite, you're not it. Even though you're supposed to be, you really have to receive it, to receive the benefits of being initiated into an Orisha, to receive anything in life for that matter. Even when we talk about attracting abundance, you talk about attracting a mate, you're talking about aligning with your riches, your wealth, it doesn't matter. You have to become it, So if you haven't become like Obatella, inside your mind, consciously, subconsciously, your Ori, you have not made those connections and done the healing, whatever you need to do to be more like the energy of Obatella, then you can't harness that energy. And what I was saying was a lot of people, just like in religion, just like pastors and stuff, a lot of people think that they can cheat the game or cheat the universe or outsmart the Orisha, and still win, even when it looks like they think in their minds they winning, and they're able to go to Obatala when they need to, do whatever it is that they're trying to do, and they think they're getting ahead by faking it until they make it. It eventually catches up to them and backfires sooner or later. And even not, if not in this life, in the next life. So my answer to that is no, it doesn't. You're just doing yourself a disservice. You get further in your destiny and your purpose and completing your reason for being here by just doing what you need to do to really be able to connect with that Orisha prior to initiation, and then it continues after initiation because we still in human form, right?
Exactly.
So, and you really do, it's rewarding, and it may not be rewarding outside of yourself right away. Like you may not wake up and you're a millionaire, or you may not wake up, but it feels good. I mean, you feel so good inside when you know that when no one else is looking, I am. I am that I am. I am walking and moving like Oshun. I am becoming, I am the embodiment of Oshun, whether anybody recognizes or sees it or not. Or, I am connecting and one with my Obatala. So it's just, it feels good. And it's just something I can't even put into words. So I don't want people to look for that outside validation to say, like you said, if I do this initiation, that will be enough for me to connect to Obatala, and I'll have X, Y, and Z, and I can do X, Y, and Z. But it's really about in here, and in here. That's what you stand to gain. I always tell people this work, if you're doing it, if you go get an initiation for the wrong reason, you'll be highly disappointed. If it's for any form of external validation, to get rich, to get money, to get recognition, to get honor, to have a name, to get a title, you'll be very disappointed. You wasted your time and you wasted your money. This work is for us to elevate our consciousness so we don't have to come back and redo it all over again.
Exactly.
And so that our bloodline and future generations will have it embedded in their DNA of this, the elevation and the work that we've done and the healing that we've done. That's what it's really for. So if you're doing it for anything outside of that, you may be disappointed.
Ediobe says, if one is rich without good character, the wealth belongs to someone else.
Ashe.
All right. You just said it. Like if you're doing it for other reasons, because you want to try to get ahead of things, it will catch you. It just may not catch you in this life, but it will catch you in the next one. Because that means you're not completing your destiny and you're coming back anyway. So since you're coming back anyway, you may come back with some extra baggage. Right?
And it's your protection. I always tell, good character is your armor. It's your protection. People look at me, like I said, I've had so many spiritual battles. When I deal with leaders in Yoruba land. I'm not talking about no people over here, and I'm not going to say no names, but I've had many situations where me being an Oyimbo, as they call me, or Black, white American, or outsider, some people see me as, let's see how much money we can get out of her. Some people, honestly just like what I'm doing. And then other people see me as a threat to the amount of clients that they can get. So I've had, these are, everybody got power, powerful people in the tradition. And I come through, Nigeria. If people are on my Instagram, you see me walking through with my clients at the Oshun Festival with my sword, and I'm only 5'2", and I'm just a little short somebody. And I usually, this is pretty much my tone. If my tone changes other than this, people better watch out, which is very rare, because it might be a very unfortunate outcome if that happens. But saying all of that to say about how good character, right? Because with these powerful leaders, powerful people, I've had so much stuff thrown at me. Read, how you get a read and it says enemies. And it talks about, you know, people want to see you suffer, and people want to see you down, and they want to see you dead, and they want to take you out. And I've had all types of stuff come, right, because of the work, my past. And sometimes I've had to go right back and look the same enemies in the eye. Powerful people, right? Been born and raised in this stuff. And they see me coming looking all cute, dressed up like Oshun with my little short self and my little voice. And they look at me and I could tell what's going through their mind. How is she still here? How is she still functioning? Why didn't my stuff work? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I've been married to Babalawos, because, you know, that it comes up, marry Babalawo, you're an appetite B. You know, that's my destiny. So I've tried it. I tried it twice now, right? But like you said before, they don't understand. The biggest problem was the cultural difference, and the lack of value. If people don't understand you, they can't value you. And if they don't value you, they're not going to treat you the way you deserve to be treated. Mm-hmm. And so I've been there that too. You know, when you want to divorce a Babalawo, of course, they're going to try to do all types of say Ogun and all, you know. And so then they come back to you and they look at me like, how the hell did she leave me? Right. And this is not just to sound cliche. It is good character. It's not that I know the most Odu-Ifa. It's not that I sacrifice pigs and goats and all these different animals and spend all this money. It's not that I have powerful, all these different juju and spells or charms or any of that. I truly am a good person. And I have good heart and I have good intentions and I don't mean anybody harm. And I come forth with lead with my purpose first. And I always put my best foot forward and try my best. And I give everything my all in the sense of doing whatever I can do for it to be a positive outcome. And you walk with your grace. And so that has been my greatest armor. It's not outside of, my Ori, my destiny, being, born with what I'm born with, power, energetically. Everybody have their natural aura of protection. Mm-hmm. But just since we're talking about good character in Ori, I can't stress that enough. The strongest, the greatest elbow, the strongest thing a person can have that will protect them and fight for them. Mm-hmm. Drum roll. Is your good character, but you can't have good character if you haven't addressed your Ori. You got to heal yourself, get your mind right. Then you can walk in purity, you can walk in light, you can walk in love with good mind, good heart, and good intention. And you're untouchable. You're untouchable. You can't throw nothing at me because it can't my aura. You have that light aura around you and you don't mean anything harm. What are you fighting with? You have nothing to fight because I didn't cause you any fight. So, you fight yourself. So I just can't stress that enough.
This is good. Ori Buduku. To me, character also, I didn't say this in the beginning, but to me, character is currency. Like spiritual currency. Like as much as you practice good character, that's how much you're depositing into your spiritual bank. So that when you need to go make a withdrawal, you have enough to take care of what you need to take care of. Right? Ori Buduku, which to be clear is the one with the bad head, right? Ori Buduku is the one that has spiritual poverty, which in other terms is basically the one with the bad head. The character is off, so it's depleting them. Their account may be overdrafted. And when they don't have it, they don't have it. Literally, right? This is the reason why we're talking about character, because I really want to drive this home today about the importance of character and building up your spiritual bank account. Because without all of that, you're just spending money that you don't need to spend on the elbows. I'm not going to say initiation, but the elbows and all those things. Because at least the initiation can protect you when you, like, what's the Bible statement story say? God protects fools and children.
Preach
Right?
now.
So at least when you get initiated, you will have an extra layer of protection for your life, even when you are still acting in Ori Budoku because you don't even know it. And maybe you haven't had that conversation with a person who cared enough to show you or tell you what that is. But the initiation can help, but the elbow is temporary. It's not permanent. The hand of Ifa is temporary. It's not permanent. The only one that stays with you is the initiation. So I would never say don't do that, but I would always say with caution, go into that before you initiate your crazy.
I agree with you 1000%. But that's going back to the point, knowing the point of it all.
Yeah.
You know, Ori being the head, Ori Inu being the inner head, and Ipori being your higher self. So the point of all of this is to strengthen and maintain the connection to your higher self. And the higher self is connected to source, which is Olodumare. And that is in your destiny, which knows the way, which knows the path. So it's really about inner work, your personal connection and relationship with your higher self, so that you can stay aligned in the physical form with your destiny, with your divinity, with Olodumare, because we are also one with Olodumare. Our higher self is one with Olodumare. So if we stay connected with our higher self, we are one with source, and we can go wrong. And that's really the purpose. And I also tell people it's like climbing a ladder. So if you choose to climb that ladder of elevation, spiritual elevation, and you go up and you go up on that ladder and you climb higher and higher and higher, and then for whatever reason you decide not to comply, right? You say, I got initiated, or I'm doing this ebo, and like you said, God protects babies and fools. Okay, but now you have decided that you want to start with the big dogs. You want to start with the big dogs, and you think it's a game. So you done started your climb on that ladder. Okay. But trust and believe, I always tell my clients, just beware what you're getting into. I'm not going to sell you any dreams, because if you decide to stop doing what's in alignment with good character, cultivating, uplifting your higher self, walking and moving in divinity, the climb up is not painful. It's not as painful, right? But when you fall down, there's no pity there. You know, it's going to hurt, because you know what you know better. You know, your eyes have been open. You're aware of what you're doing. And like you said, God has pity, but you don't have no pity in this case, because you knew what you were getting into, and you've started the path of elevation, and for whatever reason, you just decided to go against it, you know. And so when you fall, it's going to hurt. So that's just, you know, something I always like to share, just to touch on what you said and agree with you 1000%.
Thank you so much. Do me a favor. Close your eyes and repeat after me real quick.
Okay.
All right.
What we saying?
It's gonna be some good. It's gonna be some good. It's gonna be one word,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just for a demonstration. So you close your eyes when you're sitting here quiet, right?
Mm-hmm.
We call this meditation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't say it out loud, but say it in your mind. Love. Say the word love in your mind, but not out loud. Can you hear yourself say it?
Yes.
Okay, now you can open your eyes.
Okay.
To me, the purpose of meditation, because God speaks you through speaks to you through all your sensories in the physical, but it uses the same sensories in the spirit. Where did that voice come from?
Hmm. Yeah.
Last 2 weeks, I have been smelling cigarettes. I don't smoke. Nobody around me smokes. Why am I smelling cigarette? I'm sitting here working on a computer and just, man, what is that smell? I'm going outside looking for somebody smoking cigarettes. And then one day I'm doing O'Shea File. And um, my mother comes up in the O'Shea File. She passed away 20 some years ago. She comes up in the O'Shea File. I'm like, Mama, is that you with the cigarettes? She used to smoke a lot.
Mm.
Oh, she's like, yeah, that's me. Like,
Oh.
how do you smell something that's not even there? You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I'm saying this because this meditational thing, and I know people are looking for answers of how to fix this character thing. If you want to know what your character is like, if it's in good character or buduku, whatever you want to call it, just close your eyes and be quiet for a minute and see what you are saying to God in your silent time. See what kind of conversations go through your mind. What you thinking about somebody else? What you thinking about yourself? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you just close your eyes and be quiet and be silent? That is
Mm-hmm.
your communication line to higher power.
Yes.
If that communication line is clogged with that, tell me, how is anything else going to unclog it for you and help you out in the physical living world?
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
They call that ESP in the science world.
But people don't want to hear that. I
I
say
know.
that all the time.
I know.
Meditate, meditate, meditate. What's the first step? I have a YouTube video on what's the first step in African spirituality. What should you do? Meditate.
Yes.
And people are looking. I don't know if maybe that's just not glamorous enough, or doesn't sound. I don't know. But you hit it right on the head. Like, everything is within. I just made a post about that. That's your Orimila. If you're an Ifa devotee, Orimila is the third eye, is the Ileri Ipin, the witness to creation. What does that mean? That means that there was a force, an energy there, Orimila, in other words, there, that was there from the beginning of time, taking note of everything that transpired on the planet. So you can access that. Some people call it Akashic records and all of that stuff. But let's stop just externalizing it. If you really want to say you are a child of Orimila, then be that. Go within yourself and tap into your mind's eye, the part of you that has that recorded history from the beginning of time. I believe that is within our DNA. That's within. We can tap into that, through meditation. I have tapped into not all of it, but a lot of it. I've seen my past lives. I've astral traveled. I have gone to other realms. I have done a lot through meditation that serves as, like you said, was like my point of reference, where whether or not I read a book on anything, or if I do get a piece of information, I can go back to myself to say, like, I saw that. Wait a minute. I remember that. I was able to tap into that on my own. So it just, you ain't got to convince me. I know, So that's so important. Just silencing your mind and meditating. People underestimate the power. That's where it begins, of meditation. Begins and ends with the self at the end of the day.
Yeah, I want to thank you for this time today. Before I let you get out of here, though, I got to get you to give us some jury on a few different subject matters. I do this thing called Top 3 on Your Ori.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say a couple of phrases, in like 15 to 20 seconds or less, kind of give us your concept in relation to character, the importance of these things in relation to character, right?
Okay.
All right. In relation to character, number one, spouse. What comes to
In
mind?
relation to um in relation to character spouse, what comes to mind is keeping agreements, whatever you make between you and your spouse, because that could be different for different people, like we talked about before. Keeping in agreements, moving and with good intention, um, having aligned destinies and aligned purposes and goals. Um, spouse. Being honest, trustworthy, having those favorable attributes and qualities, and knowing your reason for coming together, and being in alignment and staying true to that.
I'll show you. Children.
As it relates to good character, our children always being grateful and appreciative of our children is in alignment with good character, knowing that they are your replicas, your future. Um, they will carry on your legacy, your light, uplifting them, pouring into them, loving them, man or woman, nurturing them, providing for them. Um, in Yoruba land, they say they see children as a form of wealth, more so than anything, monetary or tangible that you can acquire in life, because they are your continuity. So you would treat them like they're, you know, something that's highly valuable, like a gem. It's how you're supposed to treat your children. So that's what comes to mind.
And we call it Ishegun, but I'm going to say victory. Victory.
As it relates to good character, uh, Ishegun, good character, having victory. Like I said before, that's your armor. How you if you want to overcome your enemies and have victory over your enemies, it's through just being a good person. Don't participate in anything that's out of alignment with your spirit, that goes against the collective. Don't participate in any destructive behaviors, unfavorable behaviors. No, lying, cheating, stealing, gossiping, bad talking, polluting the planet, polluting the earth. Anything that goes against you as an individual or the collective. And just having pure heart, good mind, unstained cloth. Be a good person, and you will prevail. You'll have victory over any enemy, no matter how powerful they're perceived to be.
This was fun. This is the first one, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the first one. Ladies first, they say, right?
Oh, okay. I like that.
I am so glad.
And what you're doing is amazing. And I also have that infused. So, let me just put a little what they say, like a hook or plug about myself. So you can check me out more on ifaremi.com. And I love so much. That's why when you asked me if I would do the interview, it was just like, yes, I'm doing it. After I saw your website, because what you're doing is so important. No joke, no flattery. We need healing. Like our people, we're in a spiritual warfare, like especially here in the diaspora, and it's mental. It stopped being physical a long time ago. So it's mental. So we getting attacked about, as far as our cultures, our ideologies, our moral, our character, women and how they present themselves, men and how they're presenting themselves. People's mind through social media, through TV, through music, through You go to work anywhere with people turn here in the U.S. Are constantly being faced with things that are in opposition to their, spiritual elevation, and that mess with the psyche, with the mind. So the spiritual warfare that's taking place right now is the mind, and it's not easy. Many people are on the verge of giving up. Many people are overcoming it. Many people have given up, and so a lot of people just need help. So that's why when you said come online, this is what I do, I was like, yes, we got some more people on board, like they get it. You know what I mean? It's not just about all this external stuff. So I do also offer guidance sessions. I said in another interview, at first I used to just facilitate Ifa readings, right, as an Abetabi. But I felt my heart, my Oshun self started feeling like a sadness, right? Like, I just want to do more. People need more help. Like, this person's still suffering, or this person's children still going through it. And like, this just ain't enough, right? So that's when I came up with the one-on-one guidance sessions. And I didn't put a label on it. I just said, let me make myself available in other ways to guide people on their spiritual journey, whether it be through inner child work, shadow work, healing generational trauma, learning how to meditate. I also will add that it's important to detoxify your body and your pineal gland so that you can access those portals and pathways and gateways. So I'll tell some of my clients different things that they can take to open up their third eye, to decalcify their pineal gland. So if you want to learn more too about me and what I do, you can check me out on Ifaremi.com.
There you go.
Also, I have an Oshun masterclass. I'm going to try to come. I will. I will set up more master classes where we can get that in-depth information that they don't want us to have, that some people don't want us to have, where I break it down little by little at academyarise.com. I'm on YouTube, Rising to Your Power with Ifaremi.com.
There you go.
And all social media platforms.
I was just about to ask you about all that, but I'm glad you took the reins. Let people know where you at. I appreciate you.
And sign up for his program. Oh my gosh, everybody needs it. Everybody needs connect to your Ori. I wish there were more people, like I said, doing what you're doing.
Again, I appreciate that, and it happens by doing this, connecting with the right people. Everybody's not going to want to do it, like you said. A lot of people don't want to do it because it makes them look at themselves. But for those who are truly about the work and wanting to get it right in this lifetime, it starts with the Ori and ends with the Ori. Technically. And ends with the Ori. There's no way around it. So I appreciate you for supporting. If it's anything I can do to support, maybe we can collaborate on something down the road. I don't know. But anything I can do to support, please let me know. Reach out to me, let me know. I would love to try to get you back eventually. We can have a whole different conversation, but get you back and keep the conversation going. I appreciate you.
Same here, my brother. Love, appreciation received and given to you. Absolutely. I would love to come back and keep the collaboration with like minds.
Thank y'all for watching today. Again, I am Baba Makanjuwala, poweroverread.com. If you want to get more information about us, go to poweroverread.com. It's the same thing on all the social media platforms. You may be able to look for our other alias called Ori, but for the most part, it's called poweroverread.com. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you, Iya. Look forward to building again. To the next episode, we out. Appreciate y'all. Ashizzle. Ashe.
Ashe.
Energy flow with wisdom, raise ancestors, kick knowledge over rhythm.
Can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
Can I kick it?
Yes, you can. High energy flow with wisdom,
uro umufia wa mori, hori ni la rue.